I was looking for affection, so I did.
Damn, that's a hard record. Missy Elliot, one of the GOATs. I mean, what can't she do? What are some things that Missy can't do? The list is probably non-existent. She can do everything. Very talented musically. She can dance, write, produce, direct. All the stuff, everything you need an artist to be able to do in order for you to get the proper return on investment. Missy did that. So shout out to Missy Elliott. Women's History Month is going crazy, man. Missy Elliott, damn, this is just hear it again.
I decided to go swing in my direction. I'll be out of control. Let's take it to perfection.
It's a tough record. Welcome to the show. It's Lunchtime TV. We're not gonna be here very long. You know, it's kind of crazy the amount of, and let me start by saying this. I'm not here to bash my people. I'm just here to ask them the question of why on a day like today are any of you on this type of, well, where were they at when this happened to us? Because hate is hate. So when this type of stuff be happening to us, and you know what I'm talking about the fact that this guy, who the cop said he was just having a bad day, he decided to take it upon himself to go on a shooting spree in Atlanta. He killed about 8 people. I think 6 of his targets were Asian women. It's a hate crime, bro. It's hate. We don't like to be hated, especially for reasons that just pertain specifically to the color of our skin. We absolutely despise the fact that there are a group of people who walk around hating us for that reason and have mistreated us for that reason. We also have to stop pretending like we are the only people that type of shit can happen to. It's weird to see so many black people on this whole, like, well, where were they at when it? Just because you didn't see every single Asian person speaking out on our behalf during the hundreds and thousands of incidents that we have had happen within our own community, just because you didn't see that doesn't mean that you should just automatically go to some, well, they wasn't with us when we was shooting in the gym type of attitude. That shit is crazy, bro. They have already been talking about the spike in hate crimes against the Asian American community. They've already been talking about that prior to what this goofy ass dude did the other day, who low-key looks like Rolf and Mose from The Office. He is both of those characters combined. So when I seen picture of Buddy, I'm like, oh yeah. Like, I just saw a picture. I was like, he looked like an active shooter. And then I read the thing and he was the shooter. God, was it wrong that I did him like that? Probably. And I apologize. But at the same time, I guessed right. So I won't make a habit of doing that and being under the impression that I can just guess when a person is active shooter, because that could snowball on me. So I apologize for that fact. But I did get this one right. I knew that he was a shooter. You can tell. You can see the look and the hate in their face, bro. I'm telling you. Some of these dudes be looking crazy. But again, I'm not here to bash my brothers and sisters, but I'm looking at some of these people tweet this stuff, and I'm like, why? And some of them are saying, well, because nothing's been done yet about Brianna. We still waiting on justice for George and Ahmad and Alton and Tamir and all. I know there's so many names, but you got to understand that there are still people in control of all this stuff that we can't actually get to. They are the type of people who share this type of bullshit rhetoric that people who do not look like them are less than them. So we're not always going to get everything that we feel like we deserve. And then some of this stuff we are going to have to wait on. It doesn't mean that we give up the fight or do anything of the sort. But it also doesn't mean that we say, well, until we get ours, we can't help you with yours. Because the game is the same. We're all fighting against the hatred. So what it means is that, listen, you be over here and I'm going to go over here and help them. Look at it as if it's a natural disaster. You don't just say, well, listen, we can't help you clean up your house until we get this one all cleaned up. No, you spread out your resources. We have allies. We have all types of people who are in positions to affect change on many different levels. Allow them to go do their jobs, and then you go stand on the front line somewhere else. This is not the time to be on this type of nah until we get ours type of shit. And don't get me wrong, I'm just as frustrated as you about the things that we do not get when it comes to justice for our fallen brothers and sisters. So I totally understand it. And I'm not being dismissive of that. And nor am I trying to be in any type of way. And if it comes off as that, I'm sorry. But I do think there's a part of me that felt like, damn, this just ain't the time for this. Because even though we know that we are strong enough to carry ourselves, we are always hoping that people will come to our defense and our aid when these things happen to us. Because so many times it happens, it gets covered up, and then we get made to look like we are the people who are in the wrong and that we deserved what happened to us. And that we know that type of shit ain't true. And we're not going to allow that to be true for this community either. We're not going to allow these people to start thinking that they can just go around doing this type of shit. And it doesn't need to be our people either, because some of the reports are that it's some people from our own communities doing this to their community. Are you fucking serious? Come on. Y'all are both people of color. You are all people who are hated by another group of people. Why are you doing damage to one another? It doesn't make no sense. That's just, in my opinion, that's how I'm looking at it. This don't make no sense. So we're not going to just stand back and pretend like what happened last night is okay, or any of these incidents. Do we know if they're to the same magnitude as some of the ones that happened to us? Who knows? But that shit don't matter, because it's hatred. These people are doing this because they are upset based on the color of our skin, the opportunities that we are being provided, and the rhetoric that they have been brainwashed into thinking is the end all be all for their people. They're trained to do this type of shit. So we have to apply the whole strength in numbers method. And also, we are not responsible for ending racism. White people, this is a public service announcement. That's your fucking job. You created this mess. You need to fix it. Get your people under control. And don't have law enforcement officers going up there saying, oh, buddy just had a bad day. Because when the shooter is of another color, what are the names that are used? Oh, he's a thug, he's a criminal, he's an animal, menace to society. All of these things come up. We don't get the pass of, oh, we was just having a bad day. Because remember, we not allowed to have bad days in front of y'all. Because then we become all these fucking names that y'all make up and want to call us. When y'all have a bad day, it's like, oh, hey, pal. Sorry, Kyle, you having a bad day, pal? Just want to make sure you're comfortable, pal. Those cuffs ain't too tight, are they now, buddy? That's the type of shit that y'all be on. We tired of that. But again, my people, I implore you to unite, lock arms. Strength in numbers, man. This is hate at its worst. We got to put a stop to the hate. Doesn't matter who it comes from. Even if there are parts, pieces, people within their community who hate us, there are people within our community that hate them. Put a stop to that shit. If the Bloods and Crips can come to truces every now and again and they can rock with each other and Game and Snoop can be cool, you can go out of your way for somebody who don't look like you. It's possible, man. Come on. This is crazy. I can't even believe this happened. What's Buddy's motivation? Why did he do this? It's the same thing I asked myself. Why did Dylan Roof go into that church and kill those people? Why do those people bug him so much? Or even the idea of people who look like me, why do they bug him so much that he was like, yo, I gotta kill him, bro. I just gotta kill him because what? What is their reasoning? They're conditioned to hate, man. These are terrible ass people. Arrested with no incident? Then I seen another video today where there was some standoff happening where there's cops and SWAT, all type of shit. And there it's like, it looks like 15, 20 people battling a guy in the middle of the freeway with a fucking sword. A sword. He's just out there. He thinks this is on some type like fucking, I don't know, man. You name any type of comic book or some shit you seen where Buddy got a sword and he ready for battle. It was that type of shit. Apparently that's what he was on. And they're all just calm. Letting him do the most. Do you remember when Philando got killed? When the cop goes, can I see some identification? And then when he went to grab for it, Buddy just started shooting him. He just started shooting him. He asked him for his ID, and then when he went to retrieve it, like instructed, he still got killed. This guy's out in the street with a sword. Doing his best fucking Power Rangers impression. Cops just let that shit slide. I told you the story about he even out here living in Renton, Washington, where I literally watched a standoff happen. Guys like, hey, can I get a cigarette? They gave him a cigarette. I couldn't believe it. Hooked him up, gave him a cigarette. Took Dylan Roof to Burger King or some shit like that. Who knows what type of accommodations Buddy with the sword got. And then this, lame ass, bitch ass dude who killed these wonderful people down in Atlanta. Who knows what type of accommodations he got. So like I said, it don't make no sense for us to not stand up for these people because we are frustrated because things have not happened on our behalf yet, because it is clear that the people or the powers that be, they like to protect each other and they protect the people that look like them. Don't be mad at the Asian community and then opt out when it comes to standing with them against this hatred shit because you're upset. We're all upset. Breonna's killers are walking free. Elijah McClain's killers are walking free. All of these niggas are walking free. It's frustrating. I get it. But this is not the time to be on this whole we not going to help out type of bullshit. Corny. Oh, shout out to Elise. Elise is in the chat. They're conditioned to hate and fear no consequences. That's absolutely right, man. Listen. You know, one time, one of my friends, maybe this was a joke, wasn't funny. One of my white friends literally like out loud was like, yo, it's low key kind of hard to be white in America. And at first I was like, what? What? And I'm someone who sometimes like, and maybe I get uncomfortable and don't realize it because I don't want to have to like put people where I feel like they belong. Because then sometimes I'll be like, am I wrong for that? So sometimes when people make stupid ass comments, I'll pretend like I didn't hear it. My hearing isn't great anyway. I'm a type of nigga anyway. What'd you say? I heard you, but I want you to repeat it. Maybe it's a control thing. I don't know. Get these niggas to repeat this shit. But anyway, I acted like I didn't hear that shit. But then the silence started to get a bit awkward, and I was like, let me entertain this shit. Just because I have to hear why he thinks it's hard. So I'm like, what do you mean? Why? What about your life is hard? Keep in mind, there's a person I know who comes from a wealth, not like of great significance. We're not talking about like millionaire, billionaire shit. Maybe now, but wealth, you know? The things that came up, and this is like we're in the younger days, but the things that came up, it was basically like, well, if I do this thing, like I could lose this and I could lose that, and it gets real hard. But like the stuff that he was talking about, it sound like something who like a person who would be a predator. Just somebody who really believes they can get away with like crimes. It was weird the way they were phrasing the stuff. And I know my story is kind of all over the place. But it puzzled me because a lot of it, I was just like, I can't even hear this shit. Like, you're trying to tell me that your life can potentially be made hard if you do something and then you get caught for it. And it wasn't on some, like, he was saying, like, specifically, well, because of the white color of my skin. But he was like, well, everybody thinks we're serial killers and they all think we're predators and they all think we're, like, school shooters. You know, like, all of these examples. And I'm like, well, yeah. Hello? Most of the time, yeah. And if you do those things, you should face the consequences, yeah. But, like, the way he was coming out of his mouth, it was as if he felt like these were privileges that he had. Like, he should be able to do some of these things. I posted something the other day on my IG where I reposted as a share. And it was something that's out of this book. And I'm going to actually read it to you because this is what I think. I kind of think the reason why they think this stuff is because you got to look at how they were acting in the old days. This is apparently like a newspaper post. Vicksburg, Mississippi, Evening Post, February 8th, 1904. Lynched Negro and wife were first mutilated. An eyewitness to the lynching of Luther Holbert and his wife, Negroes, that's in there, which took place in Dodgeville yesterday, today gave the Evening Post the following details concerning retribution exacted from the couple prior to their cremation yesterday. When the two Negroes were captured, they were tied to trees, and while the funeral pyres were being prepared, they were forced to hold out their hands while one finger at a time was chopped off. The fingers were distributed as souvenirs. The ears of the murderers were then cut off. Holbert was beaten severely. His skull was fractured and one of his eyes knocked out with a stick hung by a shred from the socket. Some of the mob used large corkscrews to bore into the flesh of the man and the woman. It was applied to their arms, legs, and body, then pulled out, the spirals tearing out big pieces of raw, quivering flesh every time it was withdrawn. This is just in a newspaper article back in the day. So when I come on the show and I say that I firmly believe that this is just embedded in them to think that a lot of the things they do are acceptable and should not have consequences, it's because this was the life that they led. Their ancestors do this type of shit. Now you're going to tell me people was ruthless back in the day, Cuddy. Everybody was wilding. Yeah, I know everyone was wilding back in the day. But this probably just happened because they were black. We're hundreds of years removed from some of, I don't even want to imagine what things were like back then. I sometimes wonder if white people really hate the fact that the haters of white people hate the fact that there's internet and we're able to share and record videos so quickly because they can't be as racist as they want because it goes on the internet like that. Saw a video the other day where a young man got into what looked like to be a fender bender with a person. This guy ends up being a former LAPD detective. Buddy's on tape looking at this young man and calling him the N-word. Buddy called him a nigga too. But and that part was funny. That made me laugh. But then it was crazy because then, the tape makes its rounds and now they're literally going back and investigating all of his old cases that he worked on. Who knows what happened to some of the people in the cases that he worked on just based on the fact that he was racist. And he probably did things to people that he just felt like, I can get away with this and it's not a big deal because my ancestors did it. We got to put a stop to this somehow. That way they don't think that they can do this to any and all communities when they feel like it. That's why the situation yesterday is a big deal. And that's why I personally feel like it is important to make it clear that I stand with all of my Asian American brothers and sisters. Regardless, I'm not tripping off where you from, what it is. No, I don't want you to be disrespected while you're in my presence. Even when you're out of my presence, you don't deserve that. You're a human. Most of you have arms, legs, eyes, heart, all this type of stuff. You deserve to be treated with respect. All that other shit, it don't matter to me. I want to make sure that you're happy and that you're respected. That's it. Some of these people are trying to make that very hard. Think about it. 8 people now are not going to go home to their families, all because some white guy was just mad. Probably just mad because that they're Asian. And they all happen to be women. So then you have to start looking at him like, bro, what is it? You trying to like Tinder and all those apps not working for you? You trying to get dates and these girls ain't vibing with you? And what, did you go to them because you thought that would be easy prey? And then when they didn't give into your advances, you snapped. Because why them? Why? Why did you feel that it was necessary for you to go do what you did? You ruined 8 lives. I mean, just in that moment, you ruined way more than 8. Who knows how big some of these families are, and who knows the impact that it will have with these absences. You don't know the roles that these people played within other people's lives. You took that away from these people. Crazy, man. We gotta really find a way to put a stop to this shit. The hate shit is just so crazy. And I also, my last thing before I go is I have to ask, what is it going to take for people to be like, this is enough for this? Because this is unnecessary. All this hate shit. You think about how long all of this type of stuff has been happening. Like at some point, probably within the next 5 to 10 years, everything's just going to be labeled as like a low-key genocide because that's what they're trying to turn this shit into. Some of these people are so afraid that there won't be enough for them that they're just thinking that they're doing their part to help with extermination. That's why they take it upon themselves to go do this type of stuff. They don't want us here because they think that it's less for them. Not actually realizing that everybody else helped keep this motherfucker afloat. It's crazy, man. Let your people know you care about them because there ain't no guarantees, especially with the way some of these people are acting. I hope everybody that I know that watches this, I hope y'all are all safe. Everywhere you go, I want you to be safe. And I want you to do your best to keep yourself protected and protect the lives of others around you. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to give your life, but if you see something, fucking say something, yell, scream, do anything that would make somebody reconsider making a life-altering decision like shooting people for no reason. If you see some type of shit like that about to go down, help out, do something, man. Because we gotta start being able to get people home without having to worry about like, oh, is this gonna be the end of me because somebody's just upset that my skin looks great and theirs looks like cottage cheese sometimes. I don't know, man. Do your part. I'm out of here. First, I gotta find the button.